what actually happens in transitions. And where does the process often get sticky?
The process is an issue when the old management company doesn't want to leave the co-op or condo that they're currently working for. Yeah. when they're mad.
If it's a personal thing, then you got to go to the accountants, the board people, the attorney to pull everything in a piecemeal manner.
When a management company leaves a building, there's always this fear that the superintendent is going to leave the building with the management company, or the superintendent will stay but not want to work with the new management company.
How can a board help in the transition process?
The things that you need are to start them right away are the federal ID number, name of the corporation, and the role of all the shareholders and their maintenances. And with just that, you can set up a bank account and you can start the billing process.
I just find since 9/11 with the Patriot Act, where we used to just call up and open up a bank account, it's not that simple anymore. Banks are really sticklers on having all their T's crossed and I's dotted before they give you a bank account right now. I find with a lot of smaller companies, once they get their notice, they've kind of lost interest in the company. We'll give them a free month up front to try to overlap so that they're getting paid and we're actually not getting paid.
It gets heated. You don't get any information. They really take it personally.
And if they don't cooperate, they don't get the check.
What about transitioning from self-management to management? You take over a self-managed building.
Taken over a few. It's sometimes a very difficult process. There's no books and records. I run a lot of low-income stuff in the Bronx, and sometimes here's the rent roll handwritten, and that's all you got to work with.
We had a situation where they were self-managed, and there's a question of the funds. We had to recreate the books for the last 24 months.
You could have the building for a year, and all of a sudden someone will call you and say, hey, we got 8 of the cartons. For what? Well, that building you took over a year ago. We found 8 more cartons from you, in 1978 or something like that. It would be nice if they labeled apartments 1B through 8B instead of just chucking everything into a pile.
Listen, what goes around comes around, so I know we don't want to burn bridges. We've actually gone back to properties. We've managed properties that we've lost and been brought back. So it's important that firms cooperate and make it as easy as possible. You don't want to get a bad name.
We just had an issue with the management company where we literally were told there are 36 boxes of information. We sent one of our trucks over to pick up the boxes, assuming they would all be labeled properly with our guys signing off on what they're getting. And what actually happened is when we got to the building, the boxes were literally on the curb. There was no order to anything, and it was just information literally taken out of the file cabinets and thrown into boxes.
What do you think is the biggest misunderstanding that boards have about this transition process?
I don't think boards realize, for the most part, how difficult the transition could be. So a new board could potentially have wide eyes and want to see a lot of changes made right away, and potentially you can't make changes based on problems that occurred in the past and signing of contracts that didn't make much sense for the buildings.
The scary part in all of this is the money, because even though you get the money out of the operating account and they say we're going to send you the reserve account money, you don't know how many accounts there were. They could have an escrow account for real estate taxes, they could have a reserve account, they can have a capital fund account, and then they have the regular operating account.
Most boards expect that you have every document that you need to manage the building properly. And at the snap of the fingers they could have pretty much anything they need, and it's really a puzzle. On
the other hand, if it is a good company that you are taking over from, it does go smoothly, because a lot of the boards are just afraid of the whole transition process, because 8 years ago they fired their managing agent, they got a new managing agent, and it was horrible. But it's not horrible all the time. Some of them that have said, we just can't go through it. So we're going to keep these guys who we are not really happy with because we don't want to go through the whole thing again. Which is kind of silly, I think.